Today, we are diving into a really wild story from Genesis 14. It's about an ancient war, a war between 9 different kings that seemed totally over, until one man, who wasn't even a king, flipped the whole thing on its head for one simple reason: family. So that's the big question we're looking at. How on earth did a personal family crisis, a kidnapping, completely change the outcome of a war? This isn't just some dusty old story about armies, it's really a high-stakes personal drama. So let's get into it. So, how does a war like this even get started? Well, this one had been brewing for a long, long time. For 12 years, 5 local kings had been paying tribute to this big-shot overlord, King Chedorlaomer. But then, in year 13, they decided, you know what? We've had enough. They rebelled. And, well, Chedorlaomer was not about to let that slide. The very next year, he got his allies together and marched to put them back in their place. And just look at the lineup here. On one side, you've got the invaders, this powerful 4-king alliance led by Chedorlaomer. And on the other side, you've got the rebels, 5 local kings from the cities of the plain. You'll probably recognize a couple of those names, Sodom and Gomorrah. It's a classic setup, right? A huge imperial power coming down on a small local uprising. So the 2 armies finally meet in battle, and it's a total blowout. The rebels from Canaan are completely routed. Their kings literally run for the hills, and the invaders score a decisive, crushing victory. So that's it, right? Story's over.
Well, not quite. See, the victorious army didn't just win the battle. They went on to plunder the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. They took everything, all the food, all the goods, and all the people. And this is the moment where a big regional war suddenly becomes a very, very personal crisis.
Because here's the twist. Among all the people taken captive was a man named Lot. Now, Lot wasn't a king or a general, but he was the nephew of a very wealthy and powerful man living nearby named Abram. And when one person managed to escape the chaos and get the news to Abram, the entire dynamic of this war was about to change. So what does Abram do? Does he try to negotiate, send a ransom? Nope. He musters his own private army. And get this number, 318. That is it. He takes just 318 of his trained servants to go after 4 victorious kings and their entire military force. The odds are they're completely insane. But see, Abram wasn't counting on sheer numbers. He was counting on strategy. He tracks the enemy army all the way north to Dan. And then, in the middle of the night, he does something absolutely brilliant. He divides his tiny force, splitting them up to attack from multiple directions at once. It's basically a commando raid, a surprise night attack, designed to cause maximum chaos. And it worked. It worked perfectly. Abram and his men completely routed the invading army. This wasn't just a rescue, it was a total victory. He got his nephew Lot back, he got all the other captives back, and he recovered every single thing that had been stolen. Okay, so Abram is heading home victorious, but the story's not over. In fact, it's about to take a really interesting turn. On his way back, Abram is met by 2 kings, and one of them is this figure who just seems to appear out of thin air, shrouded in mystery. His name is Melchizedek. He's the king of Salem, what we now know as Jerusalem, and he comes out to meet Abram with bread and wine. But it's not a tribute, it's a blessing. And listen to his words. He blesses Abram and says it was the Most High God who delivered Abram's enemies into his hand. He's giving all the credit for the victory to God. So who is this guy? The text tells us he's not just a king, but also a priest of the same God that Abram worships. And Abram's reaction says it all. He gives Melchizedek a tithe, 10% of everything he recovered. He's acknowledging Melchizedek's spiritual authority. And this isn't just a random cameo. Melchizedek is a hugely important figure who gets referenced again hundreds of years later. Now for the final scene of this whole saga. The other king who comes out to meet Abram is the King of Sodom. I mean, this guy owes Abram everything. Abram just saved his people and recovered all his city's wealth. So naturally, he wants to offer a reward. And this sets up the final conflict. Not a battle with swords, but a test of Abram's character. The King of Sodom makes what sounds like a pretty fair offer. He says, look, you just give me the people back, and you can keep all the goods, all the wealth. But Abram immediately shuts him down. He says he's already sworn an oath to God that he wouldn't take anything for himself, not even a thread or a shoelace. Why? Because he never wanted any human king to be able to say, I'm the one who made Abram rich. Abram's integrity here is just off the charts. He is crystal clear.
The credit for his success goes to God and God alone. But he's also not a fool, and he's loyal. He makes a point to say, hey, while I'm not taking anything, my allies who fought with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, they absolutely deserve their fair share. It's this incredible mix of high principle and down-to-earth fairness. So when you put it all together, what are we left with? You've got this forgotten war that gets turned on its head by a surprise hero, a rescue mission against impossible odds, a strange and powerful encounter with a mysterious priest king, and it all ends with a profound test of character. It really makes you wonder, what's the ultimate point here? Is this a story about courage? Is it about faith? Or is it about the simple, powerful idea that who you give the credit to really, truly matters?